Half-Life 1 just turned 25 years old, and in typical Valve fashion, they surprised us by dropping a 1-hour-long documentary literally out of nowhere. If somebody were to ask me what's my favorite video game of all time, I'd say Team Fortress 2, but there definitely was a long period in my life where my answer would have been Half-Life 1. This should come as little surprise since both games are made by Valve, and there's a pretty direct lineage from Half-Life in 1998 to Team Fortress Classic in 2000 being a Half-Life mod, which led directly to the development of Team Fortress 2, which finally released in 2007. I actually bought the orange box in 2010 specifically just to play Half-Life 2, and then I became obsessed with TF2. Anyway, the Valve documentary is really good and I recommend you watch it, but I thought I'd share some of my reactions and perspectives as a hardcore TF2 player.
Nothing here is easy, yo, depression next to me, so I'm supposed to drink and fill my Kawasaki like I'm Ichigo, laughing to the bad guy. No.
I enjoyed hearing them talk about weapon design because variety in weapons was one of the best parts about Half-Life and also TF2.
You gotta have a shotgun, and there's obviously a pistol. You know, you need your weapon that's going to make you struggle and you drive you to get another weapon.
Yeah, I remember being impressed by how different every weapon handled.
So each one did something completely different. All the crazy weapons, those are my fault.
I loved how they weren't afraid to come up with completely original weapons that played and shot differently than other games, and that definitely carried over to TF2.
I like snarks. Snarks always made me laugh.
While we never got snarks in TF2, you can see the legacy of Half-Life's original weapon design in TF2's willingness to try things that you wouldn't see in other games, like stuffing 3 rockets into a rocket launcher as I blow a bugle, or taunt killing somebody with a French horn, something you can't do in other video games.
So there's sort of a trope of having a melee weapon. We were just running around like idiots, smacking the wall. It's an odd thing to know in retrospect, but at the time it felt profoundly satisfying to be able to smack walls.
Still does.
If you're going around whacking a wall, a crowbar is an obvious thing to whack the wall with.
And that visceral melee joy of the Half-Life crowbar definitely lives on in Team Fortress 2 with items like the frying pan or the ham. Melee weapons in TF2 definitely owe a lot to the crowbar. It was also cool to see interviews and faces like Dave Riller and Robin Walker in the documentary, as these developers went on to play a pivotal role in the development of Team Fortress 2 after they were done with Half-Life 1. I was also fascinated to learn about the role id Software had in contributing the Quake engine to Half-Life so they could build off of it.
And he said, oh, you're starting a game company, you have to use our engine.
That is absolutely crazy. I mean, I can't imagine something like that happening now.
We spent a good deal of time with John Romero, and he told us, like,
wow, look how young John Romero is. It's pretty amazing that all these people are still involved in the industry today.
Because we were Michael's friends, we walked away with the source code to Quake that day. We had no contract yet. We had kind of an idea of what it could be, and they just gave us a CD, and we had kind of the crown jewels of it, and that, game on.
That is insane to think how much that was worth and that they just got that for free. It's also interesting to think about the legacy of Quake versus the legacy of Half-Life and how popular Valve games still are in 2023 versus, say, Quake Champions, which nobody plays.
The run speed for the player was so insane.
Yeah.
It was like, 25 miles an hour or something?
It was sprinting.
You could get so far, so fast.
It's really funny to hear the devs talk about speed in these terms because they're not even mentioning bunny hopping or accelerated back hopping or any of the motion tech, which is completely standard in current Half-Life speedruns. I mean, take a look at some of this footage from current world record holder Muty. All the damage boosts and bunny hops and air strafes make him go so much faster than anything the original devs could have ever even conceived of. It's pretty hilarious when you think of it.
But, the AI had a little bit of help.
I do remember being blown away by the AI of the NPCs and the enemies, especially back for that time period where they weren't just running at you in a straight line. That said, even in remakes like Black Mesa, there's still times NPCs do hilarious things. I mean, maybe he didn't see the signs? It was also really interesting to me to hear them talk about design choices like on a rail and electrifying the tracks so that people would actually take the cart and not just walk.
Players didn't always bring the train with them. And so you had a bunch of these poor people walking down these tunnels.
Oh, is that why you electrified the
And
rail?
yeah, and the rails were, that was part of the
Kept
feedback.
dying from that.
Part of the feedback was, well, you can just bypass all that, so we made the rails electric. It's like, well, maybe that'll teach them to bring the train with them.
That's actually pretty smart from a level designer perspective, but of course I laughed because in practice, if you watch speedruns, you know what, let me just show you. So this is Muty again. You'll see he doesn't get on the cart a single time. He does touch the rails a handful of times, but like the damage loss is so insignificant because he's moving so quickly. I love this little trick here where he just actually makes a ladder using the trip mines to basically skip half the level. But yeah, when people can b-hop like this, it's actually faster than taking a cart or a train. This makes me want to play Half-Life 2 again because of some of the silliness where you don't even take the airboat and you do sections of it just boatless. And yeah, I understand that most people aren't speedrunners and they don't play the game this way, but it just makes me chuckle when I think about all the design choices that go into Half-Life 1, and hearing them talk about it in the documentary, it's super cool. But yeah, Muty just kind of makes a mockery of all of that. I'll link to Muty's channel in the description. He's so good at both Half-Life, but also Quake speedruns too. While the documentary doesn't touch on speedrunning at all, or any of the motion tech like bunny hopping, they do talk about the final chapter of the game, Zen, which I found very interesting from a development perspective. As a player of the game, I remember being really disappointed by Zen. I thought the gameplay was very frustrating and not intuitive, and overall it felt less polished and more rushed than the rest of the game. And hearing the developers talk about their manpower challenges, as well as the pressure to get the game completed and shipped, that made a lot of sense to me. It also made me appreciate Black Mesa, which is the fan-made remake of the entire game, because they almost completely redid Zen, so it plays and feels just way better than the original Half-Life 1. I did appreciate though how the designers explained that they were trying to make Zen not feel like every other Alien level or every other Alien media of the time, where it was very Star Wars-y. They were really trying to make it feel more organic and natural, and it was interesting to hear about their process, including using pictures from electron microscopes. Very neat.
If the sound could let you know what's going to happen, that's really makes it powerful. So we're always on the lookout for that in level design and monster design, communicating, because the AI is often hidden from the player. So we use the sound to broadcast the internal state of the AI. You know, soldiers, they tell you, I'm injured, I'm going to throw a grenade, I'm taking cover. You know, they are broadcasting as constantly as they can what's about to happen. So it was really important to try to keep those states distinct so that as you play the game, you're actually, whether you're aware of it or not, you're starting to be able to tell what's about to happen.
The sound design discussion was really interesting to me as well, because I feel like that's one of the trademarks of Valve video games. Team Fortress 2 is really good about having subtle hints, things like a sentry beeping 3 times if it's level 3 versus only 2 beeps if it's level 2, hearing a spy's footsteps, all those little bits of information that get communicated to you through sound. I can definitely trace those origins back to Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, and the other Valve games that preceded TF2. Anyway, those are some of the main things that stuck out to me as a Team Fortress 2 player watching the Half-Life documentary. Let me know in the comments section if you disagree with any of my takes, or what you thought of the documentary or this video. If you're new to my super tiny channel, consider subscribing because it'll make me happy. Thanks again for watching, hope you're having a great day, and hope to see you all in the next video. Bye.